welcome.
Hey!
So here we have Alan Steinfeld on our second podcast episode of the Chinese Alchemist.
Okay, that must be you.
Yep, Chinese
Okay.
Alchemist here. Yeah. And so, Alan, I just read your amazing book, Making Contact, preparing for the new realities of ET existence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I was really intrigued by like all of the stories, but in particular the ones that where you let's start with like the whole the government and the news side of things. All right.
Right,
Yeah,
there's 11 different essays in this book, including mine.
Yeah.
And I start with, the external, what the government knows, what they don't want to tell us, what are these ships, are they real? Well, it's already been established, and I was just saying before the interview, I'm getting calls like all over, wow, you've told us a long time ago that this stuff is real, and now the government is acknowledging it. 60 Minutes, Newsweek, CNN, everyone's saying that we are actually making contact.
It's happening.
It's happening, and here we are in Sedona, which is sort of like ground zero for that. So I think it was important to start with like, okay, what does the government know? What don't they want to tell us? And how does that affect us? So then I go in, but you were more impressed with the stories of personal contact, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's like the ones where it's all about like the narratives, the personal narratives. Like when I was growing up, actually, I was really into UFOs. Like I would read about the Hill story.
Oh
Barney
yeah,
Hill.
Betty and Barney Hill. They were the first.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you think about it? Did you think it was real?
I thought it was like I was 50-50 on it. I was reading these like late into the night, like when I was 8 years old. So maybe like, a long time ago. Okay, so,
I don't know how old you are, but that Betty and Barney Hill is like the first story I read. It came out in Look magazine.
Yeah.
I think it was 1966. I must have been like 10 years old, not to give away my age, but it's like maybe I was older or something. But anyway, I read that story. This couple that was taken, and it didn't seem like they were making up a story. They didn't want any publicity. That just sort of opened me up. It actually creeped me out, that story. It's like, wow, these people are being taken by these beings.
Right.
Because I think I had experiences when I was younger. I bet you did too.
I probably did, but they're repressed, so I can't really.
We'll get to them, Pete. We'll pull them out of you. But so many people are living in these parallel realities, and they're unconscious to these other worlds. And so what I want to bring out in this book is the fact that human consciousness is much more expanded than we've been told, and we are actually living in many parallel dimensions at once. Like right now, I don't know if this makes sense, but we're time traveling.
1 second per second. Time travel.
But we're traveling through other dimensions as well. I think, you ever like dream and like all of a sudden you're in the dream?
Yes.
There's no beginning to the dream. They just start mid-dream.
Yeah, no beginning, no end. It's just you're in it.
You're in it. And you know what? I think we're in it all the time. I think we're constantly dreaming, except our conscious mind makes such a loud noise that we don't notice it.
Yeah, so we make up these artificial like benchmarks. Oh, I was born this day.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the UFO experience, or those people having contact or want to have contact, takes us out of that linear world. Because in my contact experience, it was like I was lifted up out of one reality and put into another, and then put right back into that other reality. It was like a film strip that there was a little time, and then that is like spliced together.
Oh yeah, just like all these sci-fi movies, like Donnie Darko or A Wrinkle in Time, like they talk about like the Tesseract, like you wrap it around.
You bend time and space.
Yeah, like a wormhole. Yeah.
That's not science fiction. That is quantum physics. When you have enough energy, you see, because time and space are like a grid. And mass, this is what Einstein's theory, mass, which affects that grid, and that's what creates gravity. So the more mass, the more gravity, the more pull on time-space.
Yes.
So that's why some people, there's a therapy where you sit under these big rocks, and there's a kind of healing that takes place when you sit under these dole mines. and under the rock
Yeah.
is a sort of gravitational counterbalance to the Earth itself, even though the rocks are so much smaller, but there's still an effect that happens because there's a different gravitational pull among different mass objects. And then also the greater the mass, maybe the more time slows down. That's why when you go into a black hole, they used to say you were just ripped apart, but other people are now saying you go into like this, there are doorways through these dimensions.
Now portals into other dimensions.
Exactly. I think we're in a portal to another dimension now. That's the whole purpose of alchemy, right?
Right.
The Taoist alchemists, which I studied, learned to be immortal because they were able to open up this other portal of their etheric bodies, build the double, build the golden body, whatever you want to call it, and then they would transcend time and space in that other more accelerated vibration. So that's just my feeling, know.
So I've always been like, I wouldn't say have I had a little bit of doubt, okay, I would say.
About what?
About just the fact of these legends of immortality or transcending time or space.
But
I had this,
do you still doubt it?
I do, because I'm a very I have to see the evidence.
But you're an alchemist. How could you doubt alchemy itself? You see, I don't doubt it. I think there are immortals. I think Babaji. I think all the legends of the golden body in Tibet, the rainbow body. Every tradition has a story of immortality. Even in the Jewish tradition, even in Jesus attained an immortal body. The Taoists, the Toltecs, ever read Carlos Castaneda?
I've heard of him, yes.
Carlos Castaneda, his teacher Don Juan, went into the third attention by achieving immortality. You take your body with you. This is ascension.
Yeah. So I guess that's it's even greater than the material world. It's not.
You have to build it. Yeah. You have to build with the chi and the shen and the three treasures. Jing, you know what Jing is?
I've heard of it. Can you maybe
Jing
explain
is
more
the sexual energy that you see that your parents had when you were conceived. The sexual energy people have comes from that moment of conception. How much passion and energy. Like if your parents didn't have a lot of passion, I'm not saying your parents, but if someone will have less sexual energy because that's the spark that ignites. So Jing is the core energies. That's like your vital essence. So you don't want to ejaculate that much because you don't want to lose your Jing. You want to nourish your Jing, and there's many by holding the semen retention, but also gaining the feminine yin. The more yin the penis can take in through the tip of the head, the more Jing will be generated. And sometimes you get so much Jing that it's hard to contain it, but that's when the test really comes, where you have to pull that Jing up and create chi, the second treasure. The chi is also, you get that from food and air and breath. So the Jing is a sexual energy. You want to pull it up so it doesn't stay in the lower body, but you pull it up and make it chi. So you add to your breath, you add to your vitality, and then you make it shen, spiritual knowledge. This is the shen. This is your brain, your consciousness. It's the shen. So the three treasures, when you're building that shen also then creates this etheric or double. You start to live when it really builds up. And when you gain that chi and that Jing, you can start to manifest the double.
Alchemize your own.
You alchemize, and then when you really, this is what Mantak Chia told me directly. I don't think he's done it, but when your double is strong enough, your spirit jumps into the double, and that is an immortal body.
Wow. Okay.
So that's a little alchemy.
Got you. So when you say immortal body, do you mean kind of like a rainbow light body? Is that what you mean?
I mean, yeah, that's the ascension body. That is the rainbow body, but that's what you need to transcend time and space, get off the wheel of incarnation, of karma, and become the ascended master. I'm not saying that's easy, but I'm also saying it's our destiny for every one of us to achieve.
Yeah.
We've forgotten that it's our destiny. More and more people they were talking about ascension in like the 90s, and then they stopped talking about it. Now there's a kind of ascension wave coming back. It is possible. I mean, I know J.J. Hurtak, who actually left the planet with his body. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, he intoned. I don't think it. I mean, in a way, it was an ascension, but he toned the sacred mantras, and there was this portal that opened, and he left with his body. But my teacher, my original spiritual teacher, Ramtha. Have you heard of Ramtha?
I don't believe so. Yeah.
Ramtha says, this is what he says, he's a 35,000-year-old warrior, and he's channeled through this woman, J.Z. Knight, who's probably still channeling. But Ramtha said he ascended in that lifetime 35,000 years ago. Means he did not die. He took his being to the unseen essence, which means every cell in his body started to emit a biophotonic resonance. Your body turns to light. And you achieve that rainbow body, that light body. That's another way of achieving it.
Wow. So hence the term enlightenment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Enlightenment is the light that starts to manifest with very highly conscious beings.
Wow. Amazing.
Isn't that great? So we're on our path. I mean, holding the Jing is the first key to it, though. Absolutely.
For sure. So, like, when you mean holding the Jing, I feel like a lot of young men today, like myself included, they have trouble, like, just holding the Jing, you know?
No, it's a practice. And you need a good partner. I had a really good partner, woman who, some women just want you to come because it makes them feel better. It makes them like they got an essence of you.
Right.
But a really good partner, and actually the more orgasms a woman has, the more that feeds the Jing. So it's not depleting for a woman to have orgasms. It's actually energizing. But the male ejaculation, it takes the most vital essence of every mineral, and you want to give that to the child. You want to give the best of. So it's very depleting to men, especially if they're doing it every day or whatever. It can be sort of addictive, that feeling, but even if you're with a woman and doing that and ejaculating all the time, that's still depleting. And some women are so sexually energized that they can actually just pull it out of you if you're not like practiced enough to keep pulling it up. You have to kind of create the microcosmic orbit, as Mantak Chia says. So you want to pull it up the back and hold it. Sunyata, there was a master Sunyata who I studied with. Do you know Sunyata?
No, I would love to learn about
the jewel
all these
and
guys.
the lotus. He said you want to hold that Jing or that Chi up to your third eye and your fourth eye and your fifth eye, and it starts to activate more brain function. But it's a practice, and you need it helps to have a really good partner because then you both get energized together. So it's also, you can transform the Jing, the sexual energy, into breath.
Okay.
So if you're holding the ejaculation, I know we're not talking about making contact. It's a different sort of making contact. So you hold, like instead of ejaculating, you... Like
And
the
you
cobra,
bring it up.
the colder breath, and you hold it, and that breath becomes vitalized with the sexual energy, and you breathe it into your partner, and she swallows that. So she swallows it down to the womb, and she lets it circulate, and then she brings that up and blows it back into you, and you pull it down, and that energizes the lower dantian. It energizes, and a woman needs to be making contact eye to eye in order to hold the energy so you can be balanced together. This is my experience. So
thanks for sharing. Yeah, I read Mantak Chia's book, the Taoist Secrets of Love, and in that book he does describe this one like exercise that's been really beneficial.
Which one?
The one where you pull the energy up from the perineum,
Right.
and up. So it's kind of related to what you were saying.
You definitely have
Yeah.
to pull it up and
Mhm.
be balanced with it. No, it's
Yeah.
it's vital energies,
Mhm.
and it's important to hold it as long as you can.
Yeah, so it's easier said than done.
Of
Yeah.
course, but
Yeah.
it's a practice,
Mhm.
and it can be
For
be
sure.
done. I think I don't want to like. Well, I think men tend to ejaculate. It's like a drug,
Yeah,
if
it's
they
like-
if they want to
Mhm.
like, it takes a lot of self perception, looking at oneself to hold it back and not say, "Oh yeah, you deserve that," this. But it's like it's a mental thing.
Mhm.
And it's also energetically, if you're with a woman, maybe a new woman, it is like it takes a time to balance your energies together. I mean, sometimes it's natural, like you just have that connection. Other times it's like you have to just sort of
finesse it.
yeah. And connect with each other.
Right.
And the more the woman is giving you, the more you're giving back to her, or more you're giving back to her, but energetically.
Yeah.
Like if she's disconnected, like
Mhm.
it's just, I mean, which is okay. I'm not judging, but you can't hold the energy as much because there's not that two-way connection.
Mhm.
Because you want her to feel good,
Mhm.
and so you have to. Women are like. This is what what's his name says that David Data. He says
Oh, yeah.
women are wild. They are like the wind. They like to just.
Way of the
just-
superior man. Yeah.
Yes, the
Yeah.
way of superior man. So the men need to be steady while the women are wild.
Mm.
And that's like the exchange, that's like the balance
Yeah.
there.
The yin and yang. I want to bring it a little bit back
Okay.
into like the other making contact.
Right.
Yeah, this is all. Great
This
discussion.
making
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
kind of
this-
making
Yeah,
contact.
this kind of
This
making.
kind,
So I'm
okay.
just wondering, is there any relationship?
Yes,
between,
there is,
these
because
two?
when I was abducted
Yeah.
with this, actually one of my best partners, I have to say,
Mhm.
after that abduction, it felt like our Kundalini was both being raised. So we were taken aboard.
Mhm.
It's in the book.
Yeah.
And we were sort of like, I don't know why they did it, but the energy up both of our spines was like electrified.
Mhm.
So there was like this, after our abduction, there was like this, there was more energy in us to have more of this like vibratory connection.
Okay, so is that anything like these yogis who have like a Kundalini awakening?
Yes. Have you
Okay.
had a Kundalini awakening?
I have actually. Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
I used to interview people at Kundalini Awakening. Yeah, I think the more Kundalini Awakenings you have where you pull the energy up the spine, the more the neural nets that are not... So we're used to thinking a certain way, but the more Kundalini you have, the more you start to tap into these other dimensions. And that's when you start to see the ETs. That's how you start to make contact. By expanding your mind, I mean, you don't need a Kundalini awakening, but a Kundalini, holding the Kundalini energy and opening up your mind will bring in awareness of these other realities, because these ETs do not live in this 3D world. They may come and go. This is my understanding. But we have to reach the level that they are really at if we're really going to start to be making contact.
Yeah.
So we need Kundalini energy as part of it. I mean, that's my theory.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually something Ben and I discussed
Oh, really?
the other week. Yeah, basically we have to make contact within before we expect them to.
Yeah,
get it
it's
out.
energetic. We have to understand that we are energy beings.
Mhm.
So that's a good question, though. You're right. I mean, maybe other people see without it, but I think if we're going to be participating in our new universe, we need that energy.
You need that energy. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's amazing. What do you have any suggestions on how to cultivate that energy?
Cultivate Kundalini.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that goes back to the earlier discussion. You have to hold your Jing.
Hold your Jing.
You have to, for men and for women, I think that, acknowledge the sexual energy. I mean, some women repress it. I mean,
Yeah.
some men repress it too. But just doesn't mean you have to have sex. But acknowledging, feeling it, and also bringing it up will start to expand consciousness too. And when the consciousness is expanded, then the beings that are right here, right now, start to make themselves known. So, but not everyone who sees ETs has that experience, of course. But that's just one way of doing it. Some people are more evolved. Some people,
They have their own ways. Yeah.
it just happened. Like, I mean, I don't want to turn the tables, but why did you say you were Arcturian?
Well, I said I was Arcturian because it was like more of I saw signs from the universe saying that I was.
What kind of signs?
For example, I'd see all these images of like, for example, references to the Blue Man Group, and then my Arcturian brother would say, "Hey, you have these stretch marks."
Who's your Arcturian brother? Where'd that come from?
It's this yogi I met actually from Mount Shasta, and
He's your Arcturian. Did he say he was Arcturian?
he did, yeah. And then he pointed to these stretch marks I had. I can show you on my back from when I was a little kid, and they're not really normal because if you look
maybe
closely,
they're like adoption scars.
Yeah, like.
Oh yeah, I see them. They're like, oh yeah, what is that?
Yeah, it's like it's not like. People think like my doctors. If you look at science, you could just brush it off and say, "Hey, this is because I had a growth spurt when I was from puberty." But it's kind of bizarre if you look at it.
So what does your Arcturian brother say they are?
He says that they're like signs that I'm Arcturian because of the compression of the spine.
Oh,
From
so
being
maybe it's a
Arcturian, yeah.
holdover from your Arcturian body.
Exactly.
So what does Arcturian consciousness feel like?
It feels like pure love, pure consciousness, pure bliss.
That's what Pleiadian I was going to talk about my Pleiadian consciousness. It feels like we're always in oneness. Like I can almost feel like I am you. And sometimes, with some people,
it's like universal love. I think that's something the Pleiadian and the Arcturian councils they share in common, right? It's like.
But
universal
what makes them
love,
different?
Yeah.
I wonder.
I guess for the Arcturians, it just resonates with me more. Whenever I see these images, it triggers something like in my subconscious.
Maybe Arcturians are more. I don't know. They were said that they were protectors.
And they have a little more knowledge, I guess, than
maybe.
like
I think
the knowledge, not like different, not more knowledge, just like they have, like you said in your book, like they have this. I think one of the other writers,
Carolyn Corey.
Carolyn Corey. Yeah, she mentions that like the Arcturians are like have like a vast encyclopedia. Of knowledge.
Exactly. But I think like different cultures have different knowledge. You're from China, right?
Right.
They have an incredible wisdom of knowledge that other cultures don't have, but other cultures have a different type of knowledge. But Chinese and maybe Arcturians, not that they're related, but they, Chinese have a really old culture, like the Aborigines,
thousands of years. And I don't want to. Continuing with the topic, why do I think I'm Arcturian?
Yeah,
there's a lot of people who think they're Arcturians in my field, like Arcturus Ra.
Your field
for
of
example.
what?
Like
what's your field?
My field, just like people that
in your energy field.
In my energy field that manifests in my reality.
I think Sedona is Arcturian. The red rocks of Sedona remind me of Arcturus.
Really?
Yeah, in my kind of remote viewings of Arcturus. I mean, we could talk about remote viewings in that way because I think, the mind, not just the human mind, but consciousness in general, can tune into any place and time.
Really?
Absolutely. We are non-local. Pete, we're everywhere.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
No, but really, I think this is human potential. And when we wake up to the fact that, you see, we've been so brainwashed and conditioned and dumbed down to think that we don't know how to use the mind and brain that we actually have. This is what's so great about Sarah Adams. She travels through dimensions like instantly. Boom, there she is.
It's a gift.
It is a gift, but it's everyone's gift. Some people just never forgot that that's their gift. So this is what, this is what I want my book to help people realize, that there's so much more to human beings than our media, than our politics, than our religions, than our parents, than our education, than everyone has told you except me and Pete. We're telling you there's more. No, but there's more to us that we haven't been told, and that's the big story behind Making Contact.
Okay.
This is what I'm trying to say in the book. Forget what's out there. It's what's out there is actually not as important as what's in here.
For sure. And I find it ironic you say we're being brainwashed because it's like they flip all these entities they're doing the reverse. They're saying, oh no, you've been brainwashed.
Oh, because
by
we
these.
believe in
because we believe in these other things.
That's like, reverse psychology. It's like that's what they're saying. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
But the truth is, we have to discover who we really are. And so when I teach remote viewing, I teach people how to make contact with these other beings by just extending their minds into possibility. And people say, oh, it's your imagination. But no, we have to have another word besides imagination. There's an aspect of our right brain that is nonlinear. This is also what I talk about in Making Contact. And that nonlinear part transcends the personality. It's like the internet. If you have a computer and someone never told you had an internet, you would think all the information you ever had was just programmed to the computer.
Right.
But if you realize you have an internet, then you get access to information not on your computer. That's what the right brain is. The right brain is access to the higher consciousness that's not part of your past experience. That's the internet, as I say. No, that's the greater mind, the mind at large, Aldous Huxley used to call it. So when we realize, and because that's half our brain, when we realize that we just programmed our left brain, which is only half brain, so we don't want to walk around half brain, we have this other part of us that's not your imagination. It's a doorway into non-local reality. When we can pull that in, then then you can make contact with the Arcturian family.
Oh, wow.
Or whatever you think you are. And you might think you're making this up, but just give it a chance. See what comes to you. Let go of the personality and what you think you are, and start to tune into what you might be and what you could be and what you really are. That's my philosophy. I know it's a little out there, but
I love it. Yeah, thanks
thank
for
you.
sharing that.
Yeah, no, I think we really have to encourage that in each other. I'm really happy you're doing this program because making contact is all about making contact with ourselves. Because when we make contact with ourselves, everything else starts to come in line.
Yeah, the whole universe opened up.
Yeah. We are I'm looking at eternity when I look at you. You know, you are infinite.
It's like, I think in Les Mis, they say to love another person is to see the face of God.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, when we're really present, God comes through. And you know when you're really present with someone?
Yes.
How do you know?
Oh, you can just feel it.
But
you're there. Your
exactly.
presence.
Right, right there. I see that. Light actually comes out of your eyes. That's the enlightenment. Enlightenment is actually happening moment to moment as we're present. That's enlightenment.
That's amazing.
But we also forget it because we're so brainwashed into going unconscious. And so, you know, with only 2 minutes, we're giving these time crunches. No, but thanks for asking all those questions. So how do people get the book?
Well, you go on Amazon, and I'll drop a link in the comments below, and then you click on the link, and then you order it.
Yeah, I wrote this book for people who may not know anything about it, or let's say you're in a family or you have friends who think you're crazy because you believe in UFOs. It's not about belief, it's about exploration. This is a good beginner's book for people who don't know anything about it, and if you're already in the field, there's some real gems here from experts like Linda Moulton Howe, John Mack, Grant Cameron, Mary Rodwell's talking about star seeds, Daryl Anka, who's had a 38-year relationship with the entity named Bashar. So he gives me his personal essay. So, you know, one little thing that Daryl says in this book, he says, okay, let's say there are UFOs. What's the big deal? And he talks about Ben Franklin seeing hot air balloons for the first time and flying. And people ask Ben Franklin, what's the big deal about hot air balloons? What good are they? And Ben Franklin says, what good is a newborn child? Meaning the potential that this phenomena and these beings have for us is uncalculable. We cannot imagine, but if we just trust there's a new universe waiting for us to wake up, we're going to go into some whole new realities.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Thank you. It is really exciting. I mean, genuinely it is. So thanks for getting me started.
Oh, thanks for sharing your expertise and knowledge. That was amazing.
And if you want my YouTube channel, go to youtube.com/newrealities. Email me at newrealities@earthlink.net.
I'll drop a link below.
Right. And get the book for you, your families, your friends, and about 100 other people who don't know anything we're talking about.
Wonderful.